Hello, welcome to Kaijudo 24/7. I'm Jared Oxader.
And I'm Robert Argoyes.
And today we're going to be doing the set review of the newest set of Kaijudo, Shattered Alliances, and we'll be covering just the Light Civilization in this video. Yep. Just the Light Civilization. So we're going to start with Blade Barrier. It's a 3-cost spell. Tap target enemy creature. It doesn't untap at the start of your opponent's next turn.
Cards overall not too good. On a playability scale, we have a 1 to 5 scale. I'd probably give it about a 2.
Yeah, I would agree with a 2. It's a Lyra on a spell. It comes down pretty cheap. I guess if you're playing something with...
maybe Mono Light Rush.
Yeah, that might be pretty good. You can keep a blocker out of the way for a while. Control, I
would rather have a Lyra.
Yeah, you'd almost have rather have a Lyra, but if you're playing, like, if you want to top out at Tritonus and you want to have a lot of spells to cast off and constrict things,
constrict.
this, like, it'll constrict something and it'll tap something down to keep it out of the way, and you can crush it with Tritonus if you're just kind of trying to attrition their board before you go in for the win. But we gave it a playability of 2 out of 5.
So, overall, an okay card.
Right.
Not too impressive, but somewhat playable.
Yeah, our 5s are just definitely, like, we can see these cards being a staple in either just by themselves. They don't necessarily need a deck to live in. 4 is a staple in a certain type of deck. 3 is just an all-around pretty good card. You might have to build around a little bit, but we think there's a lot of potential. 2 is a card you can play, but there might be better options just depending on what your list wants to do. And 1 is playable specifically in a very niche position. Or there might be quite a few different options that you could play around with.
Or just not playable.
Or just not really playable. 0 is what we for just not playable. There's no, like, tribal support. There's no reason to play the card unless you're...
So kind of tend to avoid the 0 and 1.
Right. So next up we have Blinder Beetle Prime. 5-drop 6k Evo on Enforcers with double breaking. And whenever this creature enters the battle zone and whenever it attacks, tap target enemy creature. So it has Blinder Beetle's base effect come into play tap, and it has Shockana. When it attacks, it also taps something down.
It's overall a very good card, and the Mono Light Rush, I think it'll replace some cards.
We think initial value will be about $3 to $4.
Yep, and playability, especially Mono Light Rush, somewhat of a deck-specific card, very much with the Evo. We'd put it at about a 3.5.
Yeah, we sat down with our Team Apex, and we kind of went through the whole set and figured out the cards. And a lot of the cards that ended up with a 0.5 rating are cards that a lot of us wanted at 3 and some of us wanted at 4. So we couldn't quite agree on it, so we put it at like a 3.5. So definitely all-star in Mono Light Rush. As far as flexibility in other types of decks, a little tough because Enforcers do tend to lend themselves towards a Rush style of play. And if you're running an Evo, you really want it to be able to come down when you draw it, not maybe sometimes when you draw it. Yeah. So, yep. Again, value 3 to 4, playability 3.5. Heliosphere. 3-drop 3k Battle Sphere.
So this is what we would describe as vanilla. Vanilla being just a basic card, basic power toughness, with no real playability at all. Mm-hmm. Putting it at a 0, again, this would be a vanilla card that's not that good.
Yeah. I can't remember what the prime example vanilla creature is in Magic. It's a bear, something bear.
Grizzly bear.
Grizzly bear, yeah.
It's a 2/2 for 2.
Right. So there's no tribal support for Battle Spheres. Maybe we'll see it in the future, but for now... the value just nil. It'll be priced at whatever a common's priced at, and then playability we put it at 0 because they're tribe based options at 3 that you're gonna want to play in anyway. And yeah, next card, Mark of Eternal Haven, 8-drop spell. Choose 1 when you cast it. Put a creature named Eternal Haven from your hand into the battle zone, or draw a card. Then you put a non-evolution creature that is level 7 or less and has blocker from your hand into the battle zone. Been hearing a lot of mixed things on this. We think the value is going to be about $1 to $2.
Playability of 2. It's really specific. You have to be playing Eternal Haven, and not too many of the marks are really played right now. So
yeah, this one I would say it's a little more playable than the ones we've had in the past, but definitely still a very niche card. You need to be playing Haven. You need to be playing the blockers. You need to have Haven or a blocker in your hand. Definitely not unplayable. I don't think it's unplayable. I think it's very good that it draws you a card if you're in a really, really, really tough position. You just need to filter that card for another card.
8 mana for drawing 1 card.
Yeah, definitely underwhelming. So yeah, 1 to 2 and playability of 2. Next we have Ravu the Indomitable, 8-drop 6k Double Breaker with Omega Pulse. This creature wins all of its battles.
It's kind of interesting. We gave it a value of between $8 to $10. It just doesn't lose. When things don't lose, it's typically pretty good.
Yeah, playability at 2.5. It costs 8 to come down, so it's not going to come down until later in the game. That being said, when it does come down, it's very tough to get rid of, and it's
Slayer does get this kind of a creature, correct?
So Slayer will kill him.
Slayer, Terror Pit, those kind of Root Trap, those kind of removals do still get him, but he does win all battles.
Yeah, and he can still be Resolve good and bounce out of the way. So, we didn't want to put him at like a 4 or 5. It is like a very, very interesting ability, just flat out winning all battles.
Yep.
But
we gave it a value between $8 to $10. It'll see a lot of okay play. It is a super, and it is the next new set, and its playability is about a 2.5.
Yep. Next up, we have Replicator Patrol, 4-drop blocker skirmisher with the ability Wingman. When this creature enters the battle zone, you may put a creature named Replicator Patrol from your hand into the battle zone with 3,500 power. We put it a value of nil. It's a common. It'll be priced at whatever commons are priced at for the set, and a playability of 1. This isn't a 0 because it sees support. You could technically play this in something with Panopter.
Yep, so I mean, it does have a little bit of support, but as far as playability, there's not too much there, but there is a little bit.
Yeah, it's like if you got him in your hand and you put him and you put another one of him in Yippee, but you're not really progressing your board state enough to like apply positive pressure to win you the game because he does have Skirmisher. So.
Yep.
And as far as his power to cost ratio, it's pretty poor compared to the other cards you have access to. So. Repulse, 6-drop Shield Blast. If you have 2 or fewer shields, put the top card of your deck into your shield zone face down as a new shield. We gave this a value of nil, whatever uncommons are priced at, and a playability of 1.5. I missed an ability on there. Tap target enemy creature.
It is a shield blast, so it makes it a little more playable than most cards.
Yeah.
You can.
The card we were comparing this to when we were trying to like figure out the value and playability, it's costed and it has a shield blast, same as Stormstrike Blast. And we figured, the upside of an extra shield is really cool, but
you have to have 2 or fewer shields.
Yeah, it's conditional, and just Stormstrike Blast can be more proactive than this card can be. This is very reactive. It only taps a creature for 6, like if you have it in hand, whereas a Stormstrike Pen in hand could just be a board wipe, depending on what your opponent has in play. So, and this doesn't quite have the same boom as that. So
a 1.5, slightly, barely playable, but not really.
Yeah, maybe a 1 of if you're trying to look for a trick and you're playing like Seer Serpent to 2 or 4 or something, but it's pretty underwhelming. Sentrus, 5,000 plus with blocker, skirmisher, and bold defense. Whenever this creature blocks, it gets 2k power until the end of the turn. We valued it at nil. It's an uncommon. A playability of 1, and it gets it just because it's an enforcer. 5k, 5 blocker, and then it gets bigger when it blocks, so technically 7k blocker while it's blocking, but
again, that's kind of, you'd rather play a Panopter at that spot or have more relevant spells.
Yeah, you'd rather put your draw engine in play than this dude, just to hang around, so. Yeah. And the last card that we're reviewing for white today, Eternal Haven. 10, 15,500, blocker, triple breaker. First ability, Blockade. When this creature enters the battle zone, and whenever it attacks, you may draw a card. Then you may put a non-evolution creature that is level 9 or less and has blocker from your hand into the battle zone. A second ability, Aurora Armor. This creature can't be the target of your opponent's spells and abilities. And third, Light Monarch. Each of your other light creatures gets plus 4,000 power.
Overall, it's a great card. It's going to hopefully shape and warp the format as we know it. We put a value of it around $50 and playability 5. If you're playing white, you should pretty much be playing this guy at the top of your curve, unless you're Light Rush, Mono Light Rush. Aside from that, he's an amazing card.
Yeah, we gave him playability 5. Even if you're not building around him, if you play him as you can play him as a 3 as a finisher. The Hexproof really positions it very well. And its power, where if you're playing a higher costing mid-range deck, or even just a control list, you can splash 1 or 2 of this guy, because he'll come into play and he'll just do work. He'll either finish the game out for you, or he'll chill back and save you a few shields.
All in all, I think he's a great card. Gonna be played in a lot of different things.
Yeah, we placed him at 50 because we think he's finisher status, just like your Andromeda's.
Hexproof,
and your King
he's a
Tritonus
new
is.
card. Not everybody's gonna have him. I'd recommend getting him sooner than later.
Yeah, definitely chase him in your packs when you get your packs initially, but push comes to shove, you don't pull enough of him, I would just go and pick some up.
Yep.
All right. Feel free to continue in the playlist and move on to the next color if you like, or if you've already seen the other colors and you've seen this one last because you've just been clickety-clacking around, that's fine too. I'm Jared Oxider.
And I'm Robert Arguelles.
And we'll see you later.